After holding extensive discussions on a range of issues during the NATO summit, US President Joe Biden has arrived in Finland. This is part of his three-nation tour, where he is expected to welcome the Nordic nation into the military alliance.
Exactly. Biden landed in the Finnish capital, Helsinki, on Thursday. He will participate in a US Nordic summit, which will include leaders of Sweden, Denmark, Iceland and Norway, apart from Finland. Now, the focus will be on strengthening security cooperation between Washington and the Nordic nations. Apart from this, issues like climate change and emerging technologies will also feature in the summit. The US president will also hold a joint news conference with Finland's president, where he is expected to hail Finland's entry into NATO.
Biden's visit comes almost 5 years after then President Donald Trump and Putin held summit talks in Helsinki. At the time, Trump had struck a conciliatory tone with the Russian president, but now the situation is starkly different. Finland joined NATO in April this year after fulfilling objections raised by Turkey. The decision was triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as Helsinki feared that being Moscow's neighbor, it can also meet the same fate. Finland's NATO membership broke 7 decades of its non-aligned stance and roughly double the length of the border NATO shares with Russia.
All right, earlier we spoke to our correspondent Susan Tehrani. Susan explains how Biden arrived in Finland boasting of NATO's unity and strength. But do divisions still remain large among members despite Biden's celebratory remarks? She talks about that with us.
And also with the Finnish president, and talk to him about his security concerns as the country shares an 800-mile-long border with Russia. With the addition of Finland and Sweden joining NATO, the alliance's commanders will now need to launch a new military assessment and contingency planning for how to respond if there is some sort of border incursion on the part of Russia.
And Susan also tells us what's on the agenda for Biden's visit to Helsinki.
President Biden arrived in Helsinki having navigated two main challenges. On the one hand, Turkey agreed to allow Sweden into NATO, and on the other hand, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at least publicly toned down his rhetoric demanding a quick entry into the alliance. Even so, the summit's final communique, which was full of ambiguities and diplomatic language, does not disguise some serious rifts and differences among NATO member states, notably regarding how and when and if to allow Ukraine into NATO. The US and Germany oppose it. There are Central European countries who are on board. One analyst, speaking of the communique, said that it screams fear and insecurity from every word. Another said that NATO missed an opportunity to outline in that communique the timetable or the manner that Ukraine can finally join. But perhaps that's too much to ask, because allies can't really come up with a definitive answer on how this war should end. On the one hand, some believe that a call for total peace is necessary, while others are calling for a lasting ceasefire. Then there are those who believe that peace simply means a stable line of control.